Hello Capricorns and welcome to your July 2026 monthly horoscope. My name is Justina. Welcome to my channel. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Alright, so today we are going to look at the most important, or at least some of the most important events happening in the month of July, and I'll tell you how they may influence your life on a deeper level. So here I follow Western astrology tropical zodiac, and these horoscopes are most accurate for your rising sign. However, you can also watch them for your moon sign or your sun sign if you wish, just to get a bigger picture and a wider perspective upon your life. So welcome. All right, so we start with Neptune stationing retrograde in your fourth house at 4 degrees on the 7th of July. So this retrograde here will activate your area of home and your foundations, emotional foundations, your family dynamics, your roots, your sense of belonging in terms of your home. So here, when Neptune is in a direct motion, Neptune can create blurred energies. It can make us idealize certain situations connected to your home, in your case scenario, where your home is, your sense of belonging. And at times it might be even difficult to kind of ground ourselves, depending on your circumstances, of course, because of course you've got Saturn here as well, which also stations retrograde, your ruler, at the end of the month. But we'll cover it in a moment. In the meantime, with Neptune retrograde will generally help you to see things as they are. So it's kind of like a wake-up call in a way, when you will be reviewing the last few months, the situations, the structures, the dynamics of your home, of your family, things generally that occurred since January, February 2026, when first Neptune then Saturn entered Aries, your fourth house. So what you think was too idealistic, maybe you had some unrealistic goals, expectations, or perhaps if you've been overly idealistic about a certain dream connected to your home, connected to where you want to be or live, then Neptune retrograde could just make you become more realistic about what is achievable, what is possible, and what isn't. Now, here on the 9th, Venus enters Virgo, your 9th house. Venus rules over your 5th and your 10th house. So Venus in Virgo is a perfectionist that plays a huge or a great attention on detail, very analytical energy. But here with Venus moving into your 9th house, this is a fantastic time for studying, for engaging in some workshops, for example. It's connected to growth, development. There could be some female influence or some feminine energy. The 9th house deals with people we admire, our guides, our mentors. So there could be someone with lots of feminine energy that might positively influence you, that could inspire you, for instance, as well. This is a good time for traveling as well. Mercury is still retrograde, but here, if you plan well and stay one step ahead, then here traveling to some beautiful destinations like Venice, for example, is very Venusian, and then you might really enjoy it. So for some, Venus, to a lesser degree, but sometimes Venus can also indicate that perhaps you might meet someone in a romantic sense while traveling, while abroad, while engaging in some activities connected to self-growth, self-development as well. Now, Venus will square Uranus on July the 13th across your 9th and your 6th house. So here, this could be a day of some disruptions, realizations. If you're traveling on the 13th, then make sure that you are really well prepared. Pack ahead of your trip and leave early, because the 6th house, where Uranus is activated from the 6th house to the 9th, Uranus could create some disruptions when it comes to some travel arrangements, for example, or some disruption to your daily life, or some responsibilities that may unexpectedly affect or impact your travel plans. So this is something to definitely watch out for. So whatever it is, something to do with your beliefs, with travel, your educational story is disrupted or challenged by something connected to your daily life, to your work, to to your daily responsibilities. Also on the same day, it's an interesting day, the 13th of July, because there's also the Sun and Mercury retrograde cazimi happening in the sign of Cancer. That's on July the 13th at 20 degrees of Cancer in your 7th house. So Mercury cazimis, they usually bring strong realizations, they usually bring news or some interesting conversations, plans, etc. But Mercury is retrograde, and this is happening in your area of relationships, partnerships, contracts you have with other people. So this is connected to a situation, a story returning from the past. And perhaps this is a time when you will be giving a certain plan, collaboration, another chance. Maybe you are going back, returning to some plans you had with your significant other. Maybe you are reviewing a business opportunity. Maybe a collaboration opportunity might come back from the past as well. So whatever the scenario, this is connected to your to your relationships, one-to-one connections, and there's an element from the past. Now, the day after these events, there's a new moon happening at 21 degrees of Cancer, and this is happening also in your 7th house where the cazimi took place the day before on July the 14th. So the new moon is on July the 14th, the cazimi on July the 13th. So of course, new moons are connected to new intentions, fresh energies, and this is happening in your area of relationships, but Mercury is retrograde. It is conjunct this new moon very tightly. So this could be yet again the energy of the 13th is like a follow-up, basically, because this could see you returning to some unfinished discussions or conversations, plans, projects, your relationships connected to any contracts you have with other people, client relationships overall, something that perhaps was left incomplete in the past, something that needed to be addressed but was forgotten. You didn't have time to attend to that matter. Whatever it is, here it connects to a story that was probably already initiated prior to this new moon. This is a good time for second chances, second attempts as well, in connection to your relationships, partnerships, but not just relationships in the love sense, but also business partnerships, contracts you have with other people, with clients, with your landlord, for example, as well. Now, on July the 23rd, when Mercury turns direct at 16 degrees of Cancer in your 7th house, this is a time when things will finally start to make more sense. You will regain clarity you may have lacked, or you would have lacked in the initial 3 weeks of July. And this is also a momentum time. So think about those new beginnings that would have occurred or may have occurred around the new moon in Cancer, around the Mercury retrograde cazimi on the 13th, because it might be quite useful to take notes, write things down during the new moon, because you might find that whatever felt stuck, whatever wasn't moving forward, whatever felt unclear, is finally starting to make more sense and starting to move forward. All right, so then on July the 26th, your ruler Saturn turns retrograde in Aries at 14 degrees, and this is happening in your 4th house, where also Neptune is retrograde as well. So that's your area of home and family, emotional foundations. And here Saturn retrograde, it gives you an amazing opportunity because it's happening at 14 degrees. So Saturn will be going back up to about the 6th degree of Aries. So during this time, you will be reviewing the structures that you would have built and implemented and created in those initial 5 months of 2026, between February and July. So things begin to slow down, yes, because you need to basically work and stabilize what you have built, what you have initiated, what you have taken off the ground. So this is a major phase when you'll be reassessing your foundations. But at the same time, since Saturn is your chart ruler, this is a time when you'll be also re-evaluating your own personal direction, your sense of self. So things are slowing down because it's time to review and stabilize, bring form and shape to what you have built, created in those initial months of 2026. It's about realizing whether the direction you're heading, whether what you are currently building, working towards in your life, whether it still aligns with your inner sense of self, or the direction that you want to be heading. Now on July 26th, on the other hand, the North Node enters Aquarius, the South Node enters Leo. This is between your 2nd and your 8th house. So this is a major 18-month cycle. Currently the nodes are in Pisces and Virgo, but at this point they move into Aquarius and Leo. This happens every 18 months. The cycle associated with this nodal axis has already been initiated back in February with the solar eclipse in Aquarius. After, in August, on August 12th, there is a solar eclipse in Leo. So you are entering a major financial cycle. A major financial cycle that will bring shifts and changes in your money sphere. Very often during these times, because the North Node will be in Aquarius 2nd house and the South Node in the 8th. So wherever the South Node is present, this is the area of life that requires more energy, more effort. And for you, the North Node will be in the 2nd house. So this is a cycle that pushes you towards financial independence, financial autonomy, self-sufficiency. That's where the North Node is present. There will be more eclipses in Aquarius in this cycle than in Leo. So you will have a chance to improve your financial situation in this cycle, build more stability and security in your material life. This could also indicate that you might change your jobs or very often, if we are dissatisfied with our jobs, with how much we earn, if we feel unappreciated, this usually comes into light because the 2nd house is the house of self-worth. If you feel like you're not paid fairly for your work, if you feel like you're being taken advantage of, then here it will come up and show up in this cycle, and you will decide that enough is enough. And at the same time, of the South Node in the 8th house, wherever the South Node is present, then that external support isn't always at hand. Not initially though, because of course Jupiter is now in your 8th house, and this is when opportunities come through others. So it's an interesting cycle because you've got that Jupiter influence. So even though the South Node doesn't bring that much help and support through others, it's more about you finding your own opportunities and using your own skills and talents to build your own wealth and your own financial security, stability. Since Jupiter will be here until June 2027, while the nodes are still here for 18 months, so 6 months longer. This indicates that Jupiter will bring opportunities as well through others. It could be an offer or a contract for a side hustle or a job. That's Jupiter, or perhaps some schemes, some kind of financial support could be more available, more at hand when Jupiter is in Leo in your 8th house. And of course, the 8th house is the house that is our partners. It rules our partners' financial area of life. So this also indicates that your partner, your significant other, might go through a phase of growth, especially if there are any natal placements activated. Okay, so then on the 27th, there is a quite dynamic, intense energy, because that's when the Sun and Pluto form an opposition across your 8th and your 2nd houses. So Pluto, of course, is in your 2nd house as of April 2023, and the Sun, we are in Leo season, so it's in the 8th house. So with an opposition, watch out for any power dynamics, power struggles connected to money, to control, jealousy, behavioral patterns, to any financial dynamics, or any power struggles connected to money, connected to finances as well. This is a day when you might have to confront something that you have been delaying, that you have been avoiding, but this is also a day that can clear things out here in the financial sector, within the finances, within a partnership, within a relationship, or maybe even within an institution as well. Because as we move forward on the 29th, there is a full moon happening in the sign of Aquarius in your 2nd house, and full moons bring to light things that perhaps we overlooked, we delayed, or perhaps we didn't pay enough attention to. And this is connected to your financial area of your life. Something is coming to a culmination, is reaching its peak, and this could be connected to some long-term financial transformation. Even a story that has been unfolding is now coming to a culmination of some kind. Now, at the same time, on the same day also, the Sun and Jupiter conjunction takes place at 6 degrees of Leo. So simultaneously, the full moon will conjunct or conjoin Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, and it will oppose the Sun and Jupiter conjunction in Leo in your 8th house. So really expansive energy here for you. And it's an interesting dynamic because on the one hand, we've got very intense and transformative energy happening in your area of money, finances, but at the same time forcing maybe you to approach or address something that maybe is of a slightly delicate matter, like a delicate financial matter, make an important decision that could impact your life in the long term. But at the same time, on the other side, in the 8th house, there's a Sun and Jupiter conjunction in Leo, and that's where the South Node is also present, which for some could really manifest as some financial news, opportunities, for example, and maybe an opportunity for a financial partnership or some kind of support through third parties, financial support. If you've been applying for trying to get some support from governmental support to cover some costs, then living costs, for example, then this cycle could also help you with that, especially while Jupiter is in your 8th house. Right, so we will explore this full moon further and deeper closer to the day. In the meantime, have a great month, have a productive month, and until the next time, bye for now.